What is going on, you guys? Bastion YGO here, and earlier today, the ban list for Yu-Gi-Oh! Hit, of course, as it does each and every single time while I'm in the middle of my workday. So I couldn't do an official ban list reaction because spoilers and social media and Instagram and you know, these type of things. However, I do still want to go ahead and at least go ahead and analyze, see what my thoughts are. We'll go one by one with all of the cards that have been added and both taken off of the Forbidden Limited list, and at least see what I believe the impact will be for the meta moving forward. So we'll go ahead and start off with Arch Nemesis Protos. Protos is a very impressive card, primarily used in decks like Sword Soul, just because it was so very easily accessible and searchable through that deck. That's the biggest issue. I mean, this card's been out for a while now, so I believe it was 2020 when it first came out, 2019, somewhere around that. So it's been out for around 1.5, maybe 2 years, and it hasn't really seen any competitive play until recently, when of course the Sword Soul deck came out, and that's essentially when we started seeing a lot more of this being splashed into it. It can be made super easy. Again, searchable worm, 3000 defense monster, pretty much shuts off auto wins against a lot of decks out there. If you go against Drytron, Call Lights, insta win. Go against Phantom Knight. Definitely happy to see this gone from the TCG. It was extremely impressive card, and that's what I think that Konami was trying to do with this, is just get rid of the oppressive cards. However, Skill Drain is its own different beast, and I have no idea why it's at 3. I'm not necessarily complaining because I do like to play True Draco, so I feel like that deck got a big boost. However, I'm conflicted. I feel like that's the correct way to say it. I'm conflicted, and that's how we can say about that. However, we'll get into Skill Drain in just a little bit, but Arch Nemesis Protos for the first one. Next, we have Eva. So Eva was actually a fun little card. I believe it first came out in the Counter Fairy structure deck a few years back. I believe it was 2017, 2018, quote me if I'm wrong. But yes, structure deck, Wave of Light. It's pretty cool that it has that. I had no idea, but there it is. So essentially with Eva, it just made Drytron extremely consistent, and whenever I played against Ford, who not only does he play Fluffle, he plays Drytron as well, I saw how recursive Eva was, how easy it was for him to get just more negates and just abuse it, bring it back. I mean, banish it to go ahead and add more powerful fairies to his hand, or at least more negations for Herald of Ultimateness. So Eva going away essentially just makes the deck a lot more fair, and I think that's what this ban list really did well, was to make all the top tier decks a little bit more fair. For example, for Arch Nemesis Protos, with that being banned, that made Sword Soul a lot more of a fair deck than that, because essentially all it does now is it can, yeah, don't get me wrong, it can still shut off light monster effects with the Yang Zing Synchro, and it still has negates with the Sword Soul cards and gain attack point, things like that, but it's not an incredibly oppressive deck. It has its fantastic grind game, extremely consistent, don't get me wrong, so it still has that, but of course it's a top tier deck. All top tier decks are supposed to be extremely consistent, extremely powerful, extremely reliant, in each their own way. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the one that hurt the most. Simorgh Bird of Sovereignty, I believe is how you say it. So of course, me playing Bird Up currently, at least in competitive TCG settings, this hurt quite a bit. So essentially, Simorgh was a fantastic way to at least either a barrier statue or an Apex Avian on the board. That way you can go ahead and prevent your so essentially you have a Floodgate or a Omni Gate essentially on the field, which you can then go ahead and summon back during the end phase if you were to go ahead and use the effect to negate a spell trap. You're pretty much like a board wipe or anything that would be oppressive that your opponent would then activate. So it was really good. However, this takes away that negation. Again, this doesn't destroy the deck, it just makes it so that you don't have that extra negation against spells, traps, so that way, now that's something that you may want to incorporate in your future Bird Up builds. Deck is not dead by any means. I have a deck profile coming up in the near future, so be on the lookout for that if you are a Bird Up Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade player. The deck's still very consistent, still puts up a decent board, not nearly as well as before, but it is what it is. I understand, believe me. I think the biggest issue with this was it made everything untargetable. I believe if it didn't have that, it would make it such a lot more of a fair card. If we were to get that errata, I'd be super down for it. However, I understand why it was hit. So Simorgh, Protos, RT for number 3. So we have a lot of cards that were hit on this Forbidden Limited list, but none was probably more of a lock-in than Imperial Order. Probably one of the most impressive cards ever printed. I'm not sure whose idea it was to take it off the ban list. However, thank you for slapping it back on. This card is absolutely just outrageous, pretty much shutting off an entire mechanic essentially of the game. It's a core 3 mechanic, which is Monster Spell Trap. At least that's how I see it. Of the game, to completely just shut it off from your opponent and for yourself. Essentially, you're playing this card, it doesn't really affect you too much. There's not much really more I can say about it. You know, this is gone. That's cool. We can move on. Destrudo for number 5 card on the Forbidden Limited list has been updated at least. So it goes from being forbidden to now being limited to 1. Now Destrudo is an extremely powerful card. So essentially, if you have not read this card, let's go ahead and do it together. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can pay half your life points, target 1 level 6 or lower monster you control, special summon this card, and if you do, that card's level is if you do, this card's level, I should say, is reduced by a level of a targeted monster. Also, place this card on the bottom of your deck if it leaves the field. So this was used with Ancient Fairy Dragon a lot back in the day to go ahead and be able to put some really impressive boards and just lock out your opponent, things like that. However, now with Ancient Fairy Dragon still being banned, I believe, unless I missed it, Ancient Fairy Dragon's still gone. So essentially, this is just a free level 7 synchro. Ton of really powerful synchro monsters in the deck. I believe the strongest ones, in my personal opinion, again, are level 9s and 12s, but again, there may be a little bit biased there from my virtual world experience. However, there are really a lot of strong level 7 singers you can go into. Maybe we see FA Dawn Dragster make it back into the format, as it was really good. Again, with Destrudo, a free level 7 synchro. It is a tuner as well, so it has that going for itself. 3000 defense, but you're really not going to be using that too much. It may come up, however, it's pretty much going to be used. Free level 7 synchro. It's going to be a great extender as well for the Dragon Link deck. You can send it off Dragon's Ravine and then go ahead and revive it, essentially paying half your life points for a free level 7 synchro monster. Essentially, it's a fantastic trade-off, don't get me wrong. So it's going to be for Destrudo. The 6 card hit on the Forbidden Limited list this time, guys, is going to be Fairy Tale Snow. Now this gives me some flashbacks of when I was playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh back in New York with my buddies in New York. So that was when Grasslook Screener was a card, and Fairy Tale Snow was a card. Dinosaur and Light Swarm was just going rampant everywhere. It was absolutely insane back when, I don't know if you guys remember, when Minerva was a prize card. Do not believe this is going to be as oppressive, of course, as it once was. Fairy Tale Snow, I should say, at one point was probably the best monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Putting it very lightly. It was by far the most oppressive card, because you just banish 7 and special summon it and Book of Moon a card. And back then, Book of Moon was actually an extremely powerful card, or having that effect. Being able to have that again is absolutely fantastic. For a lot of decks out there, we may see the return of a Lightsworn Dinosaur Fairy Tale Snow variant. However, with Grasslook Screener still on the Forbidden Limited list as a forbidden card, I do not see this making too big of a splash. However, I do see this being as a big power boost to things like BAPK, dinosaurs, potentially, or if there are any Lightsworn players out there, maybe, because you need it to be milled out, so there's a lot of synergy there, you know. Astrograph Sorcerer is one that I did not see coming. However, I'm not surprised. I think Pendulum Magician was a deck that was outrageously good when it first came out, and they've been getting things little by little here and there, you know, like Skullcrobat Joker, I believe we got it to 3 in this ban list as well, and Double Iris Magician coming back and all those type of things. So Astrograph Sorcerer coming back, I think, is fantastic for the game overall. I think we might be seeing a lot more Pendulum players out there, which we haven't seen in forever. So that's going to be super cool that we're actually going to be able to see this summoning mechanic come back into the game. Will it be meta? I still don't think so. I still think it needs a lot more help as far as getting a little bit more cards off the Forbidden Limited list. However, this is a step in the right direction for Pendulum Magician players for the future. Lunalight Tiger. So Lunalight is not a deck that I am entirely too familiar with. However, I do see this being a free Monster Reborn. I can see why it would be good. I know I've seen, of course, a few reactions as far as Lunalight Tiger is concerned. I'm assuming it was, by what I've heard so far, it was using some crazy combo to go ahead and search a whole bunch of things. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with it, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but it coming back, that's pretty cool. Tiger coming back, I think it's awesome. Good for Lunalights. Essentially, I don't like when low tiered, let's be real here, when low tier decks get hit because some specific card in their deck happen to be really good. Case in point, Trickstar, but it's neither here nor there. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Maybe the next ban list I'll get Lysatia 3. Maybe it's the next one. So Recital Starling going to 1 hurts quite a bit. However, I do not believe that Bird Up again or Lyrilusk is dead. I very much believe it's still a very alive deck. This, what it does is it hurts a lot of the consistency as far as being able to search exactly the cards you need. So before, you search 3 or 4 Lyrilusk cards, I should say you search 3 or 4 level 1 Wing Beast monsters from your deck easy without even normal summoning. So with this, it does hurt a lot of that consistency as far as being able to search specifically what you need. So it's going to be a little bit more thinking when involved in the strategy. But essentially, I see this as a fair hit. Essentially, I mean, being able to consistently just search, and abusing the same card, it feels Ben 10 like. So I definitely believe Recital Starling, I call it Rectal Starting, but that's just me. Going to 1 makes perfect sense. It sucks as a Bird Up player myself. I understand your pain, believe me. However, again, I understand where they were coming from with this hit. So the next 2 are 2 that I just don't really understand why they were problems. So Monster Gate is clearly the most clearly it's the most oppressive spell in the entire game. You gotta limit it. Like, I don't understand the hit. I don't think anyone else understands the hit. If you understand the hit, please go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. However, tribute 1 monster, excavate card from the top of your deck until you excavate a monster that can be normal summoned or set. Special summon it and also send the other excavated cards to the graveyard. Were they thinking that you were gonna play this in like a Drytron and mix it with Fairy Tale Snow? That's the only thing that could potentially see, because Drytrons can't be normal summoned or set, I believe, right? That's their thing. They can't be normal. Yeah, they can't be normal summoned or set. So maybe that's the issue. However, I don't really I don't really see that being a problem. Anyway, hopefully it comes back to 3 because I really need it for my cubic deck. And I can't really make a cubic deck without Monster Gate. I mean, I can. It's just not going to be nearly as good. So, Konami, please just hurry up. Give me a new ban list so I can get this to 3. Yeah, this deck was a weird one. I don't really understand Pot of Desires being hit. The only pot card that deserves to be hit is Pot of Greed, because that literally says draw 2 cards, and that's it. That's it. Please take your 2 cards. However, this has a cost. Banishing 10 cards is a cost, and you don't know how many times I've gone Pot of Desires, banished 10 useful cards in my deck to draw 2 more Pot of Desires. Maybe that was Konami secretly giving this card a boost, maybe, because that can never happen anymore now that it's at 1. But it feels a lot more sacky when a card is at 1, and that's what I don't like about main deck cards being put to 1, and that's my frustration. Pot of Desires, again, it's a weird one. I don't really understand it, but it is what it is. It doesn't really affect a lot of decks that I currently play too much, maybe a little bit, but essentially just throw Triple Tactics Talent where this was and wipe your hands of it, essentially. This is where we're getting into the meat and potatoes, guys. So A Hero Lives coming to 2. It's about damn time. Honestly, hero players, I have so much respect for any hero player. Not only is it a wildly expensive deck, it's not an easy deck to learn. There's so many combos and variations you go about it, and I've watched a lot of Ruggles videos, and thank goodness he's back on. So I'm happy to see him back into the mix of things. Having to pick up Heroes and Cyber Dragon as your first few decks, that's gutsy. And normally a lot of people start off with something a little more chill, more calm. Kind of start learning the the rules, things like that. But he just went, you know, hard. So Hero Lives coming to 2. I definitely understand it. Honestly, paying half your life points, especially summoning one specifically elemental hero monster, it's like unexpected die, essentially. But unexpected die has no cost. This, you pay half your life points, specifically one elemental hero monster. I don't see an issue with a Hero Lives coming to 3, personally. I think that it coming to 2 should have happened a long time ago, but we finally got it. We gotta stop, you know, let's stop complaining. Konami, thank you so much. And now we can go ahead and move forward with, you know what? I might just build heroes because it's a nostalgic deck. It's a cool deck. It's a deck that challenges you to really learn the game, and I appreciate that. So maybe be on the lookout for some more hero deck profiles. So Fusion Destiny going to 2 is a bit more of a significant hit than a lot of people initially think. Kali effect got into the percentages a bit more as to why specifically lowers your percentages of seeing it in your opening hand, which is cool. I definitely agree with that. I believe it's more consistent to play Verte Anaconda and play Fusion Destiny at 1 than to play 2 Fusion Destinies, a Celestial or Dasher in your deck without a Verte Anaconda. You know what I mean? So it's not, because adding a second Fusion Destiny would be just adding a random brick card you're not going to draw, because essentially if you have 3, you want to draw as soon as possible. 2 is in an awkward phase. It's like a teenager. It's just awkward, you know what I mean? So Fusion Destiny being at 2 is cool. I think a lot of people gravitate more just playing it at 1 and playing Verte, because that wasn't hit, surprisingly. I'm not going to touch that one there, but should have been hit anyway. Fusion Destiny going to 2, I think it's a good hit. Makes it to an awkward teenager, and I understand. Pretty much the same thing that I had to say about the previous card go to Nadir Servant. Just make it into an awkward, the ugly duckling teenager. So Nadir Servant is a great card, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know this card, I believe, was like $100 and some card when it first came out. It's fantastic. Dogmatica is a great support archetype, and I think hitting a little bit of the consistency helps. Does it do a lot? I don't think it really does much. I think putting it to 1 or banning it would make the most amount of impact, but I don't really see Dogmatica being the best deck of the format. I think, again, what this Banlist did was just really make all of the top decks just a little bit more fair by hitting its consistencies, hitting the cancer card, it's for lack of better term, in each deck. Salamangreat Circle. So Salamangreat, again, a deck that I personally did not have to face against because it was pretty much already obliterated by the Banlist before I started playing again. So I'm not gonna touch this one. Salamangreat players, rejoice. That's cool. You get Circle to 2. Maybe I'll actually face one of you guys in tournaments sometime soon, but we'll have to see. Overall, cool. ScapeGOAT to 2, baby. We're slowly trying to get that Trickstar support package back into the mix. You know what I'm saying? You gotta waft it back in slowly. It's okay. Take your time. No worries. No, we take it easy, but you know, ScapeGOAT to 2, that's good for me. I'm honestly really excited for this. I just love ScapeGOAT because of the anime affiliation it has with it. You know, you feel like Joey when you activate it. It's not just a regular spell card. It's like summoning, normal summoning, tribute summoning, I should say, Dark Magician. It just has a more impact than just activating a card. So ScapeGOAT 2, step in the right direction, Konami. Bring it to 3. Dangers aren't really doing much. I haven't really seen them in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh in a while. So Danger Nessie 3 is essentially any deck that hasn't been relevant in a while, or hasn't been competitive, I should say, in a while. I think we should start bringing off the ban list. Things like Orcus, other cards like that. The Dragon Rulers, why are they even still on the ban list essentially at this point? So I think this is good to go ahead and bring it back, and getting into all of the more unlimited. This is good. I think this is healthy for the deck to go ahead and bring back some of the old cards that just are not as impressive now as they once were. So Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon being a hard once per turn, I think was fantastic change for the card itself. I think bringing it to 3 makes perfect sense. Essentially, people still not going to play it more than 1. Maybe the crazy people are going to play it more at 2, or you're playing a Red Eyes specific deck. But for things like Dragon Link, things like that, just keeping it at 1 in the main deck's perfectly fine. You're not really going to play more than that because of consistency issues. You don't want to see 2 of them in your hand. However, at 3, it's perfectly fine. Again, I'm cool with it. Go Red Eyes. Now, I believe we mentioned Skullcrobat Joker earlier in the video. So Skullcrobat Joker coming to 3. Again, we've been calling for this for a while now. It's to be expected at this point. Not really much to get into there. I really want to see Pendulum come back strong. I wanted to see it come back in a good way, and I really want to see more diversity in the decks we play. So if Pendulum can get a little bit more stuff back, that'd be super cool. I'm not saying I'm going to be playing Pendulum. I was going to make that very clear. I suck with Pendulum cards. There's a reason the only Pendulum deck I've ever played, I believe, is Deskbots. Go back and look at all my deck profiles. Maybe Ignites as well, but never, never something crazy that actually has relevant Pendulum effects. It's too much reading for me. This one I like quite a bit. So Emergency Teleport, I believe, is fantastic. Not only does it help support the Punk archetype that just came out of the Grand Creators, it also gives it quite a bit of a boost to the Virtual World deck. I have it sitting right over here, is why I'm talking about it. like it's somebody sitting there. So Emergency Teleport, again, fantastic card. It's not a once per turn, hard once per turn anything. You can activate multiple days in your hand, so it's definitely something. If you play any amount of psychics in your deck, I definitely recommend go ahead and playing this. If you play level 6, you can throw Gamma in there. That way you can E-Tele the Gamma to go ahead and synchro the Cyframe Lord Omega. That way no Gamma is left in your deck with no driver target. So essentially, I think E-Tele 3 is fantastic. I'm super glad we finally got a freaking reprint that's affordable. All my freaking E-Teles I got are $10 each. So hopefully they lowered in price, but I'm gonna pick up some rare E-Teles just because I need it to all be the same rarity, and we'll take it from there. But overall, super happy with it. Raigeki 3 is something that I personally love. Dark Hole at 3, no one's playing it. Raigeki at 3 actually might be played in the side deck instead of Lightning Storm. Just because it's a far less expensive card, let's be honest here. So I think it's going to be a budget version of Lightning Storm. Again, Lightning Storm is really only fantastic when you're going up against different types of opponents. So you can play against a combo deck, an Eldritch deck, it's still useful. Whereas Raigeki is really only useful when you're going up against like a combo deck or a deck that actually plays monsters and not a back row heavy deck. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's going to be a fantastic budget option for all of our budget duelists out there. So Raigeki to 3, I'm super for it. I'm excited for it. And I gotta pick up one more freaking Raigeki. You just take a moment, because Eldritch has now become tier 1 in the TCG by skill drain coming to 3. Just by the sheer representation of this deck is going to be absolutely wild. I bought the Denko Sekkas, I got Harpy's Featherstorm, I got Twin Twister in the side deck. I'm ready, baby. Don't get me wrong. However, Scale Drain going to 3, I believe is going to boost a huge boost of representation for the Eldritch deck. Overall, I actually tried to go ahead and pick up a copy of 2 copies of Skill Drain because I only have 1 English and 1 Korean. I don't know how I got the Korean version, but I have it. And I need 2 more Skill Drains so I can build my True Draco deck. And they were sitting at a minimum of $40 for the least expensive Skill Drain. I'm not even trying to buy anything crazy like the Lost Art one. That one's $70 by the way. But just a rare copy of Skill Drain is $40. $40. Why did they not reprint this in Grand Creators? I will never understand. That's something that they should have thought ahead, or unless they wanted to see how it worked with Master Duel. Like they saw a high representation of Eldritch. Maybe they didn't think too much of it. It's kind of dumb on my end, at least as far as I think, you know. But Skill Drain Combat 3 it's a love-hate. It's a bittersweet feeling. Bitter because because a lot of decks that I like to play involve monsters and their effects, and I can't play those monsters with their effects while there's a skill drain on the board and it's at 3. On the other hand, I love playing decks like control decks like True Draco and Barrier Stun, and I'll probably be picking up Eldritch, be realistic. If I can pick up 2 more skill drain, please get reprinted or stop buying so many, all you people. $40 for skill drain, still can't believe it. But that's gonna be it pretty much of my reaction to each and every single one of the cards that was hit or released from the Forbidden Limited list, guys. Essentially, I just want to go get my thoughts on each and every single one. For those are the cards that I really did not have too much of an opinion on. Again, I want to be honest with you guys. I don't want to have some type of fake reaction like, oh, Lunalight Tiger is you know, is at 1. That's amazing. I have no idea like why. I just want to keep it real. So let me know what you guys think of the Forbidden Limited list in the comment section down below. Do you think it was a positive list? Do you think it was a negative list? Overall, do you think it was a, again, bittersweet list? Some highs, some lows. There was a lot going on with this list. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Subscribe for more videos, guys. Leave a like if you guys did enjoy. And I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one.